Hey, first graders. Thinking of you. Sorry I can't be with you today. Hey, first graders. Thinking of you. Just a little something. Because I can't be with you today, but I am thinking of you and hope you all have a good weekend. And I'll see you on Monday. It'll be our regular schedule. I know it was kind of different this week, and I appreciate your flexibility. Oh yeah. Octopus came up with a really cool science lesson for you today. You may need to do it later on tonight or the weekend. Little bathy time action science. And before I leave you, I'm gonna go ahead and read the BFG. Just to leave you with something relaxing and fun. So go relax, go lay down, cuddle up with your stuffy. And I'm going to reread a little bit and finish off this chapter. Okay, do you remember where we left off with the BFG? Yeah, big breakfast scene. The top of the ladder, Mr. Tibbs, balancing like an acrobat, poured the BFG's coffee and placed the enormous plate before him. On the plate, there were 8 eggs, 12 sausages, 16 rashers of bacon, and a heap of fried potatoes. Oh, what is this, please, your Majesty? The BFG asked, peering down at the Queen. He has never eaten anything except snozzcumbers before in his life, Sophie explained. They taste revolting. They don't seem to have stunted his growth, the Queen said. The BFG grabbed the garden spade and scooped up all the eggs, sausages, bacon, and potatoes in one go and shoveled them into his enormous mouth. Arr. Can you all eat like the BFG? Oh, by goggles, he cried. The stuff is making snuzzcumbers taste like swash swallow. Here's a little picture I showed you before. I like how he's sitting down. The Queen glanced up, frowning. Mr. Tibbs looked down at his toes, and his lips moved in silent prayer. That was only one titchy little bite, the BFG said. Is you having any more of this delunctuous grubble in your cupboard, Magister? Tibbs, the Queen said, showing true regal hospitality. Fetch the gentleman another dozen fried eggs and a dozen sausages. Mr. Tibbs swam out of the room, muttering unspeakable words to himself and wiping his brow with a white handkerchief. The BFG lifted the huge jug and took a swallow. Take a big swallow. Oh, she cried, blowing a mouthful across the ballroom. Whoa, please. What is this horrible swig pill I is drinking, Magister? It's coffee, the Queen told him, freshly roasted. Oh, it is filsome, the BFG cried out. Where is the frobscroddle? Do you remember what frobscroddle is? The what? The Queen asked. The lumptuous fizzy frobscroddle, the BFG answered. Everyone must be drinking frobscroddle with breakfast, Magister. Then we can all be whiz-popping happily together afterward. Can you imagine the Queen of England whiz-popping? What does he mean? The Queen said, frowning at Sophie. What is whiz-popping? Do you remember? Sophie kept a very straight face. Hello, BFG, she said. There is no frobscroddle here, and whiz-popping is strictly forbidden. What? Cried the BFG. No frobscroddle, no whiz-popping, no glumptuous music, no boom, 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 boom. Absolutely not, Sophie told him firmly. Well, if he wants to sing, please don't stop him, the Queen said. Oh, he doesn't want to sing, Sophie said. Well, he said he wants to make music, the Queen went on. Shall I send for a violin? Oh, no, Your Majesty, Sophie said. He's only joking. A sly little smile crossed the BFG's face. Listen, he said, peering down at Sophie. If they isn't having any frobscroddle here in the palace, I can still go whiz-popping perfectly well without it, if I is trying hard enough. No, cried Sophie. Don't, you're not to, I beg you. Remember, they're in the palace. It's the Queen of England. You have to be really polite. A British culture. Oh, well, music is very good for the digestion, the Queen said. When I'm up in Scotland, they play the bagpipes outside the window while I'm eating. Please do play something. I has Her Majesty's permission, cried the BFG, and all at once he let fly with a whiz popper that sounded as though a bomb had exploded in the room. All right, can you let fly one? The Queen jumped. Oh, whoopee! Shouted the BFG. That is better than bagpipes, is it not, Magister? It took the Queen a few seconds to get over the shock. I prefer bagpipes, she said, but she couldn't stop herself smiling. During the next 20 minutes, a whole relay of footmen were kept busy hurrying to and from the kitchen, carrying third helpings and fourth helpings and fifth helpings of fried eggs and sausages for the ravenous and delighted BFG. When the BFG had consumed his 22nd fried egg, Mr. Tibbs sidled up to the Queen. He bent low from the waist and whispered in her ear, Chief sends his apologies, Your Majesty, but he says he has no more eggs in the kitchen. Well, what's wrong with the hens? The Queen said. Nothing wrong with the hens, Your Majesty, Mr. Tibbs whispered. Well, tell them to lay more, the Queen said. She looked up at the BFG. Have some toast and marmalade while you're waiting, he said to him. The toast is finished, Mr. Tibbs whispered, and Chief says there is no more bread. Well, tell him to bake more, the Queen said. While all this was going on, Sophie had been telling the Queen everything, absolutely everything about her visit to Giant Country. The Queen listened, appalled. When Sophie had finished, the Queen looked up at the BFG, who was sitting high above her. He was now eating a sponge cake. Big friendly giant, she said. Last night, those children-eating brutes came to England. Can you remember where they went the night before? The BFG put a whole round sponge cake into his mouth and chewed it slowly. Well, he thought about this question. Well, yes, Your Majesty. He said, I do think I is remembering where they said they was going the night before last. They were galloping off to Sweden for the sweet and sour taste. Fetch me a telephone. It's the old days. They didn't have cell phones. They had telephones. You had a ding or ding. Fetch me a telephone, the Queen commanded. Mr. Tibbs placed the instrument on the table. The Queen lifted the receiver. Get me the King of Sweden, she said. Ring, ring. Good morning, the Queen said. Is everything all right in Sweden? Everything is terrible, the King of Sweden answered. There is panic in the capital. 2 nights ago, 26 of my loyal subjects disappeared. My whole country is in a panic. Your 26 loyal subjects were all eaten by giants, the Queen said. Apparently, they like the taste of Swedes. Why do they like the taste of Swedes? The King asked. Because Swedes of Sweden have a sweet and sour taste. So says the BFG, the Queen said. I don't know what you're talking about, the King said, growing testy. It's hardly a joking matter when one's loyal subjects are being eaten like popcorn. Well, they've eaten mine as well, the Queen said. Who's they, for heaven's sake? The King said. Giants, the Queen said. Look here, the King said. Are you feeling all right? It's been a rough morning, the Queen said. First I had a horrid nightmare, then the maid dropped my breakfast, and now I've got a giant on the piano. You need a doctor quick, cried the King. I'll be all right, the Queen said. I must go now. Thanks for your help. She replaced the receiver. Your BFG is right, the Queen said to Sophie. Those 9 people-eating brutes did go to Sweden. It's horrible, Sophie said. Please stop them, Your Majesty. I'd like to make one more check before I call out the troops, the Queen said. Once more, she looked up at the BFG. He was eating donuts now, popping them into his mouth 10 at a time like peas. Think hard, BFG, she said. Where did those horrid giants say they were galloping off to 3 nights ago? The BFG thought long and hard. He cried at last. Yes, I is remembering. Where? Asked the Queen. Oh, one was off to Baghdad, the BFG said, as they is galloping past my cave, flesh flesh lump eaters, waving his arms and shouting to me, I is off to Baghdad, and I is going to Baghdad and mum and every one of their 10 children as well. Once more, the queen lifted the receiver. Get me the Lord Mayor of Baghdad, she said. If they don't have a Lord Mayor, then get me the next best thing. In 5 seconds, a voice was on the line. Here is a Sultan of Baghdad speaking, the voice said. Listen, Sultan, the queen said, did anything unpleasant happen in your city 3 nights ago? Oh, every night unpleasant things are happening in Baghdad, the Sultan said. We have violent crimes as you sometimes. Oh dear, said the queen. But I want to know if anyone has disappeared recently in Baghdad. Oh, let's see. Yes, we've had some people disappear, the Sultan said. Oh, some people, including my uncle. He disappeared from his bed 3 nights ago together with his wife and 10 children. There you is, cried the BFG, whose wonderful ears enabled him to hear what the Sultan was saying to the queen on the telephone. Flesh lump eater did that one. He went off to Baghdad to Baghdad and mum and all the little kitties. The queen replaced the receiver. Well, that proves it, she said, looking up at the BFG. Your story is apparently quite true. Summon the head of the army and the head of the Air Force immediately. Dun, dun, dun. Hope you enjoyed that one. To be continued on Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Ciao, ciao. Mwah.